first question, should I file or wait for the mediation process to run its course?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question. And kind of friendly reminder, I work in Georgia. I'm licensed in Georgia. I have actually an inactive license in Ohio as well. I used to be barred there too. So every state, like anyone who's listening from whatever state you're in, you definitely need to consult with your own lawyer. And what's the rules there? In Georgia, you actually do mediation after you file. You can do it beforehand if you feel like that would be something beneficial. But for some people, you might want to do it beforehand as a way to kind of come to an agreement on certain topics, before you actually file and wrap it up. Mediation, no matter what state you're in, is definitely something very beneficial. It's a way to, hash things out, try to come to a resolution with a neutral third party. It's a confidential process. So all of your skeletons in the closet and your down and dirty, icky stuff that you don't want to talk about is not tossed out in the public forum in a courtroom, because all courtrooms are public. So mediation is an awesome way. You can even do multiple mediations. So I always suggest, mediation is 99% of the time going to be required anyways, in your case. So sure, I would say give it a shot before filing, but it's definitely going to be required after filing in the state of Georgia. And I would guess most other states. But it's such a beneficial process. Kind of our fellow attorney that you work with all the time, Tracy Ann Moore Grant with Amicable Divorce Network that I'm a part of. Like she's an excellent mediator. We do the mediations all the time, and she always likes to call it like you can get down to the nitty gritty details of what works for you and your family. And if you go in front of a judge and just kind of skip the mediation process, they're just going to take a hatchet to your family life and not really carve out those little details. So yeah, I definitely suggest it. And if you want to do it before filing, and your spouse will agree to it, yeah, absolutely. I would definitely go for it.
And for people listening that are confused on the timeline of this, is it I talk to an attorney, multiple attorneys, I get a consult? Do I file before I do any of this? Like, what kind of timing do you recommend for making this decision?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, definitely talk with attorneys before you file. I never suggest filing on your own unless you and your spouse have just worked out every single detail and you guys have all your paperwork finished and there's not a lot of assets. There could be rare occasions where you might want to not use an attorney. Before filing, I highly suggest talking with multiple attorneys, interview people in your area. Some tips that I always give for interviewing attorneys are make sure the person just feels right. Like you need to be able to talk to them about intimate details in your marriage, and want to be sure that they're comfortable to talk to. In addition to that, they need to have a support staff that communicates well with you. And if they can't get back to your email or your phone call within 24 hours, that's not good. Like these are urgent issues for you. You definitely need a lawyer who is local to the area, who knows the judges, and who practices primarily in family law, because family law is such a niche area and there's a lot of different laws and a lot of different factors that go into it. I really always suggest someone who's in family law as opposed to doing kind of dabbling in everything. So yeah, as far as timeline wise, I always suggest kind of shop around, find the person that fits best for you, have a therapist in place. And I kind of joke that therapy could be, you go and chat with your girlfriends for book club every week, or it could be your yoga class. It might be an actual therapist. It could be your pastor. It could be your grief club. Like I've got clients who they go every week to a church and they have like a divorcing spouses club. Like whatever it is, you need to find an outlet of support because your attorney is not your best friend through the process. So do all those things, kind of get lined up. Other suggestions I make before filing, including, make sure you have your own bank account with a little bit of money in it. Make sure you know what's going on with your finances. And if you don't, your lawyer can help you with that. But definitely talk to some lawyers, but kind of get ready. You can talk to your lawyer about getting ready and then file. Don't just rush to file because you feel like you need to do that right away. You need to be ready to go.
And should you be doing this without telling your spouse? Is this like I'm secretly setting all of this up and then I'm going to spring the announcement on them?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I always tell folks that's such a personal decision, and it has a lot to do with what's going on in your marriage. I tell people all the time that I don't break up marriages. I help you get through the process. And if you've got a lawyer that you're talking to and you feel like they're pushing, and they're not taking into your wishes, like that's a big problem that I always see. As far as should it be secretive or should it be something that you're talking to them about, it's really something personal. Like maybe you and your spouse are getting along pretty well and you feel like you need to have this conversation with them and you guys are going to kind of do everything transparent. Or maybe you're in like a really volatile situation. Maybe it's violent. Maybe there's drug use. Maybe there's financial misspending. Like there could be reasons that would justify you kind of doing things behind the scenes. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people consult with lawyers without their spouse knowing, and that's okay. Again, it doesn't matter the gender or really what's going on. But there could be reasons that you're doing this and kind of shopping around and getting ready without him or her knowing.
Yeah. And even when you've got kids involved, that's something that I always advise maybe just hold off until you know what's going on, because there's no reason to throw a grenade in the house and have everybody confused. Like, let it settle in. Even if you're sleeping in another bedroom, like
Yeah,
there's plenty of time to have that conversation. You don't
absolutely.
need to throw them right into it.